I am very pleased to be here on this spot of the House of St. Peter in Capharnaum. And with me is Father Virgilio Corbo, a Franciscan. I'm Father Ray Bork, an Oblate of Mary Immaculate. And what we want to do, we want to invite you to come and to follow Father Corbo as he leads us into a unique discovery of this special house and to find out what is here. So this is going to be an archaeological tour. Please follow us now as Father Corbo leads us into the discovery of the very special site here at St. Peter's House.
Regardez ici, je peux mettre mon main et montrer jusqu'où arriver la seille, parce qu'il l'a considéré vraiment comme une chose à bien conserver.
What we find here is the sill of the house of Peter. And this was the beginning of Peter's house, coming this way, of course. From this angle, we see even better the sill. And one thing to point out is even when the Byzantines built the church, they found that the sill was very important, and they built like an arch over the sill, not to touch it, not to break it in any way whatsoever. So another proof that this was really the sill of the house of Peter.
Alors maintenant, nous sommes dans l'intérieur de la maison de Saint-Pierre.
Now we are in the house of St. Peter. It would be important to have an idea of how this house of St. Peter was built here in Capharnaum. L'autre côté. So this wall begins over here and turns and then goes towards the west and goes beyond this wall where there was a whole cluster of rooms. Coming on the side of the Sea of Galilee, there was another courtyard, also with rooms attached to it.
Bien, maintenant, je vais vous montrer la pièce principale de cette maison.
We are now next to the wall of this room that's called the Venerable Room, because we have every reason to believe it was the room where Jesus stayed.
Et ici, là, derrière ces poteaux de fer, vous savez l'autre angle, sud-ouest.
So the angle here, clearly, of this venerable room of Christ in the house of Peter, this northwest angle, and then the southwest.
Et ici, et les pavages sur lesquels a marché le Seigneur, parce que c'est les pavages de la première époque romaine. Et vous voyez que nous avons reporté maintenant tous les pavages de la cour à cet pavage du Seigneur.
So what happened here? They dug to find out what was the lowest level, and when they came to virgin earth, then they realized this was the bottom of any kind of building. But this layer over here is the layer that was there at the time of Jesus. They removed the other layers. And this is why, if we look around, they went down to this layer. They left this layer, and we have every reason in the world to believe that Jesus walked on these stones. So I would like you to be aware of this, and I would like you to be impressed by this reality, so that as we see more and more conclusive proofs, you will know that here in Capharnaum, you are able to come and even to walk on the stones on which Jesus himself walked.
Et ici, nous avons la chance de pouvoir voir les enduits encore sur place, avec les derniers pavages de la Domus Ecclesia au IVe siècle.
The important picture we have here is that we see the square, and the house of Peter and Andrew was square. Now, inside of this square, they built this first octagonal church. And you see, as they built it, they did not want to disturb the wall. They left this square wall, just the corners if you want, and then they built on the sides to preserve identically this room, this house of Peter. Now, there's something else we have to see, is the plaster inside. Now, there is something else here. The level of this floor, you see, is higher. This is the last floor in the time of Jesus. So we could see Jesus definitely walking on this floor in this particular room. This room is called the Venerable Room. And what is special, you see this plaster. So this wall was covered with plaster, and you see some designs here. You can see the red still preserved from that time. And it's on this wall inside of the octagonal church where they found the graffiti with all kinds of inscription giving us definite proof that this was the room of Jesus, which they call today the Venerable Room. Partout dans la maison?
Oui, pas dans toute la maison, dans cette chambre.
Ah oui, so there was plaster on all the walls of this room that they call the Venerable Room, but not in the other rooms, only in this room.
Et sur ces plâtres, nous avons trouvé les graffitis.
And it's on this plaster that they found the graffiti. So what we have to see now is the kind of stone that was used in this Roman period, the second Roman period, after the 2nd century, and the stone in the Venerable Room. If you look, these are all like small fine stones embedded like in cement, a little bit like terrazzo if you like. And what is important to note is that this is found only in the Venerable Room. And you know, the more you see things like this in this room, you see a particular floor, you see the plaster, you see the graffiti, only in this section. The more things like that you find only in this section, the more proof you have that this room was treated differently from the rest of the house. We are coming now to the end of our tour, and I hope with what Father Corbo explained to us that, like us, you really have some deep conviction that this was a very special place. And we know through the archaeological discoveries that this was the house of Peter. And this also is the place where Jesus lived. It is here that he came and cured Peter's mother-in-law. It is here that people had gathered right in the courtyard waiting for Jesus, and he healed the sick. When he came back home again, the house was filled. They came with a paralytic, opened the roof, lowered him at the feet of Jesus. It all took place here. This is Capharnaum, the town of Jesus, and I want to thank Father Corbo very much for having given us this guided tour. I'm Father Ray Borg, and I hope that God will bless you abundantly and to increase your faith in Jesus Christ. God bless you all.